After leaving the European Union, the British government announced that it wanted to establish other business contacts. UK trade depends on it. Great Britain and Australia have signed their free trade agreement now. As the British Ministry of Commerce announced to the AFP news agency, representatives of both countries sealed the agreement at an online ceremony. It is the first qualitatively new free trade agreement that Great Britain has been able to conclude since leaving the EU. So much about all those trade agreements. It should enable an additional annual trading volume of over £10 billion. The heads of government of both countries had already agreed in principle to abolish all tariffs and other trade barriers in June. Important points were agricultural policy and the service sectors. UK farmers are now protected from cheaper Australian competition for 15 years by a cap on imports, but only for 15 years. Conversely, the UK service industry will have easier access to work visas in Australia. The British Trade Minister Anne-Marie Trevelyan spoke of a milestone in the historical and vital relationship between her country and the former colony. The agreement also opens the gateway to rapidly growing Indo-Pacific region and is intended to pave the way for accession to the Trans-Pacific Trade Agreement, the CPTPP, one of the largest free trade areas in the world. Yeah, right. The conclusion of his own free trade agreements was one of the key arguments used by Prime Minister Boris Johnson to promote Brexit. Trade between the UK and Australia stood at £13.9 billion in 2020, which is just over 1% of total UK trade. While the agreement with a distant ally was seen as easily achievable, negotiations with the economically disproportionately more important USA are seen as significantly more difficult. Washington has not yet made any specific commitments to strengthen economic ties with London. The British government is currently holding talks with India and started negotiations on a free trade agreement with the 6 Arab Gulf states at the beginning of October. So one deal and a few negotiations are all they achieved 5 years after the Brexit vote and 2 years after leaving the EU. Just saying to keep the facts straight. I'll see you in my next video. Bis gleich.